Well, hi, I'm Kimberly. I've been a teacher and a tutor for over 20 years, and I'm currently a content author here at UWorld, where I write practice test questions and explanations for the SAT, PSAT, and ACT tests.
Hi, I'm Janani 𝗀𝗏𝗃. I'm a physician of internal medicine and preventive medicine. I also work for UWorld, where I develop medical content. So in that capacity, I write practice questions and explanations for some of the highest stakes standardized exams.
So, you all have sent us some of your most pressing questions about the test, and hopefully today with Janani, we're going to go through them one at a time. Here's our first question. My friends often seem calm, and some of them don't even seem like they study. I feel like I'm the only one who experiences this terrible anxiety about test taking. Help! Janani, do you have any advice for this student?
Yes, first of all, great question, great honesty. And I'm here to tell you that no matter what it looks like on the outside, everyone, to some degree, has experienced some form of test anxiety. So don't let appearances fool you. It's a very normal reaction, and it's actually a positive thing because when you experience stress in your body, you get a release of certain hormones, like adrenaline, that sharpen your focus, your concentration, and get you ready to have, kind of higher levels of stamina. It's kind of like an inner cup of coffee. But just like coffee, you do a little bit and it's a great productivity tool. It can increase your productivity and performance. But if you do too much, then you get the jitters, you get kind of the counteractive response. And that's what you want to avoid.
How can I avoid feeling stress? It seems impossible. Is there a way to turn this stressful feeling to my benefit?
Absolutely. So, as I was mentioning, there is a positive side to stress, but what it all boils down to is your thought response to stress. People react differently when they start feeling those physical sensations or those thoughts that provoke stress, and how we respond to them is actually the key for how you can turn stress to your benefit.
Okay.
So, if, for example, you have the thought of stress and you're able to channel that into doing well on the test and actually focusing, that's a good thing. But if you start to get into a knee-jerk reaction where one thought leads to another negative thought, like, I've forgotten everything and I'm gonna fail, and you see visions of yourself, failing the test and all the repercussions that come from that, that's when you're actually programming a reflex in your brain, and then it's like it becomes an association. A test is automatically associated with all these negative thoughts, and that's obviously the negative outcome. On the flip side, by retraining your brain and reframing that stress is the key to using that to your benefit and your advantage.
How do I know that my anxiety about taking a test is a problem? And what's the difference between normal anxiety and something that I need to seek help for?
So there's a spectrum of normal anxiety, which everybody experiences, and that does have a physical component. But full-fledged panic disorder, which is the other end of the spectrum, that's on another level of physical reaction. That's when you start to really get exaggerated physical responses. You really get a sensation of not being able to breathe to the point where you might pass out, or you may be just physically impaired to the point where you can't even sit down, or you might not even be able to focus. It's, again, something that is more rare. Run-of-the-mill anxiety is much more common, and in my experience, the majority of students have run-of-the-mill anxiety. But I have seen cases where that panic disorder sensation, it gets to to another level. It's important to stress, though, that whether it's panic disorder or whether it's run-of-the-mill anxiety, the root cause, which is the thought response and how you're thinking as a response to stress, is the same. So the therapies are different. Obviously, panic disorder requires a little bit more sustained therapy, care under a physician and counselor, etc. But the bottom line is, should you be concerned if you think your anxiety is on another level and you're concerned about whether or not it is true panic disorder? You should absolutely see your physician, guidance counselor, and get expert recommendations on that. But know that the management of the conditions is actually very similar, just a little bit more intensive in the latter case.